The first diagnosis was in June 2011, breast cancer. Yeah. And initially they thought, oh, that's fine, we'll just remove the lump. But they went back and they said, we didn't get it all, we have to do a second surgery. And then they came back and said, you're going to have to take the breast. So some people thought, that's really hard, 3 surgeries. But for me, it gave me time to accept what was happening. I'm Judith McIntyre. I'm 66 years old and I live in Gunelawa. I was very frightened. In the early period of knowing, I was so scared my legs would dance off the bed at night. I was shaking. Yeah, I was very scared. And I did not want to lose my breast at all. And I began to see Serge Benhayon. I met him at the Writers' Festival in Byron. Just a fluky thing. I had heard a bit about him and thought, sort of crawled out of bed one day and went to him speak. And I got in the tent and someone got up because it was full and there was a seat. And then he began to talk about breast cancer, which wasn't his topic. Just there was an incredible flow. After the talk, he turned around just as I went up to the front. I spoke to him. He'd said, what is your truth? Speak your truth. Speak what's happening. So I just opened my mouth and said, I've got breast cancer. And he said, you need deep self-nurturing. I didn't know what that meant, but I knew I wanted to know. And because I wasn't in remission, he said he'd see me. And when I went to see him, from the very first session, my fear levels just went like that. And I told him I didn't want to lose my breast, and I'm always optimistic. I thought, I'm not going to have to lose my breast. And he said to me, the soul doesn't need the breast. And it just opened up my perspective. I thought, I was only thinking of my loss. And I thought, well, at least I've got my life. Just recognizing all the ways I wasn't loving to myself. I thought I was, organic food and all this sort of thing. It was all outside. It wasn't my relationship to me. That's what I developed. And I first learned that with chakra puncture that Serge gave me, where I dropped into such a place of stillness and depth in myself that I thought, okay, this is where I want to come from. And I practiced the gentle breath meditation and learned how to be with me. And I used the chakra puncture depth when I went into chemo, which I also didn't want. I didn't want any of the treatments. Every treatment that came up, they suggested, I don't want to do that. Each time, Serge supported me. And he said in the chemo, just rest deeply. And so I did. And I had no problem. I lost my hair and I was very tired, but no vomiting, no problems. I've learned a great deal about how disease is actually a form of healing. And I had a second diagnosis in September 2013, and my cancer had metastasized very quickly. It was in my spine, and I suddenly had much less time. And this time, because of the understanding I had that I had created the disease by all my self-neglect, my choices, and I had time to working with the teachings of universal medicine to really, I just changed everything in my life. Everything, relationships, the way I moved, the way I walked, the way I was in my body. And my life was so beautiful, even though there's a lot going on. With the second diagnosis, when the doctor told me, I just felt lovely. It was a complete contrast from the first. I just thought, okay, this is what's happening now. And the doctor said to me, sometimes the doctor learns from the patients. Yeah. Not too long later, it's April 2014, I got a third diagnosis. It spread to organs, and I've got very little time. And the truth is, I feel excited. I've gone from terror to a lovely acceptance to, okay, now it's a big adventure. And I told a friend who'd worked in palliative care, and she said, that's weird. She said, nobody feels like that. Most people feel so defeated. But I have such a different perspective. I feel like I could have died without learning what was really happening, what life's really about, and I didn't miss it. Just in time. Yeah. Yeah, the most special friendship for me has been with Ingrid, who, from the first moment, she came to drive me to the clinic for sessions because I needed a lift. And then she wanted to care for me. And so she moved in with me for a while, and we decided we wanted to buy a house together. But because of my illness, I eventually said, I don't want any ownership responsibilities anymore. And Ingrid was happy to buy the house herself. And she sets me up in the best room and just takes beautiful care of me. And yeah, I have never, ever had so much love in my life as I've had in the last few years, on every level. So much joy. Actually, what was most frightening for me with the first diagnosis was not dying, but I felt I'd wasted my time, 30 years of disciplined meditation practice, studying ancient scriptures, trying to find wisdom and truth and a connection to God. And when it came down to it, with the diagnosis, I was as lost as anybody. And I thought, I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing. What have I done with my life? And once I found the teachings, I thought, oh, this is it. It's all so simple. Not all this complexity about enlightenment and Sanskrit chanting and all this stuff. Just connecting with yourself. And the reward for it is amazing. You know, the ease that life starts to take on as you really care for yourself first, which I'd never done, was so precious. Amazing things are happening. My ex-husband's family have a long history of fear of death and denial. And she came to visit me just a few days ago. And she told me that more about people she's seen dying of cancer. And everyone has had a terrible time. They can't face it. They're grasping something new, raw food or something, right to the end, never accepting. And she saw how the distress for everyone left behind and the sorrow of the person dying in that kind of torment. And she has been watching me and she keeps saying, no pain, no fear. And she sent me a text. Well, first, just before she left, she said, you have taught me so much. And then she sent me a text this morning, and it said, this visit with you was a turning point for me. And that means so much because I've been in that family for 40 years. And I know she's going to go back and she's going to start to show the family there's another way. Things like that happen to me all the time, which is another exquisitely beautiful gift for me. It's actually the most amazing adventure, moment to moment. Of course, a lot of my moments I'm kind of like this. But, This body is so tired, so worn out, and I know I keep going. That's another interesting thing, because I already had memories of past lives before my diagnosis. I had no question in my mind about reincarnation. It didn't help. It didn't help because I did not have the truth. And I did not have the true philosophy, which is so simple that anyone can understand it. And of course, I think God would be simple. He wouldn't make it hard for us. That's what we people do. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I do want to write a little bit more if I can. So when I have energy, I sit up and write blogs. And that's my joy too. Because all my life I've been trying to write. And it's never worked very well. For other people, jobs. But not my own writing. I couldn't find my voice. Now I found it. And here I am. I can hardly brush my teeth without help. And I'm writing. It's just another amazing thing that's happened. Like, here you go, you can have this. Yeah. I had this idea to write a blog called How to Have Fun While Dying. One of the ways is that I decided to get a cardboard coffin, and Rosie, a friend of mine, and her 9-year-old daughter are going to paint it for me. And I have other gorgeous indulgences, like I bought all these expensive French creams and people put them on me and I just lie here and smell them. Yeah. There's an amazing amount of pleasure and joy being in this bed. Yeah. I mean, you think that's a pretty miserable place to be, about to die. Can't even get out of bed without help. No. It's not actually what I'm experiencing. I mean, it's true, I need help to get out of bed. But the most beautiful things are happening. Yeah. So much love just blooms around me. It's a very wonderful time. I think that people don't realize if you can be with each moment, let it unfold, every moment's got something to offer. And I don't mind letting go. I love my wheelie walker when I could still walk. Now I love my wheelchair because I can't walk. I had to give up my queen-size bed. Now I love my hospital bed. I'm just with it. I'm just with each thing as it happens. And it's fine. Yeah. I've done a lot of work to make this time have a lot of space in it, because I'm not dragging any baggage. And I love the clarity that I have, and that I don't feel any issues with anyone, and that allows me to really enjoy each moment. And I just had such a complicated way of living before, so many entanglements, so yeah, I feel so well in myself, so well, more than ever before. There's been a growing gap over those 3 diagnoses. The first one, I was a mess emotionally, and my body was. The second one, I had already begun to have a sense of myself that even though the body was going to go soon, I felt lovely. And this third time, it's just enormous, the gap between the feeling that I'll die very soon, the body will die, and I feel so alive and clear and well. Yeah.